there, I'm Michael Williams, your island chef. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be working on some delicious, fun, simple, easy, back to school / work lunches. We might even have a special guest come in and help us cook some homemade ricotta and gnocchi. From there we're going to move on to some bacon cheddar quiches, and we're going to finish it off with those handy mason jar salads. All of that coming up on today's show. So, special guest, no show. I don't know what happened. So I guess I'm just gonna, by myself, have to go ahead and start making some gnocchi.
Gnocchi? Did you say gnocchi?
Ah,
Can I have some
Kai,
gnocchi?
here you are. How's it going?
Good.
Let's make some gnocchi.
Aw, why can't I have some right now?
Oh, we have to make it first.
But I really want to have some.
Oh, it's okay. Let's have fun. Let's
Oh,
show them
fine.
how to make it.
Okay.
Because it's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna start off with some ricotta because we're making ricotta and gnocchi instead of potato and gnocchi, which is maybe a little bit more popular in gnocchi, but we love ricotta, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what potato and gnocchi is.
Okay, so let's do this then.
Yeah.
We got some ricotta, and this is actually made here on the island, Paradise Island. Ricotta, great stuff. So we're gonna put this into our mixing bowl, and then the next thing we need to do, crack some eggs, right? Do you wanna crack the eggs in there? We'll
so
do
just
both.
crack it on here?
Sure. So we need 1 and 2. 2 of those guys. Grab
Where
that.
can I put this?
How about right here?
Okay.
All right, here you go. We got 2 eggs in there now. We're just gonna add a little bit of salt. And then a touch of pepper. Okay, so now we just need to stir this up. Just a little bit of a stir, get those eggs incorporated into the ricotta. And we're almost done. We're almost done the bulk of making this, right?
Yep.
The hard work is almost finished. Okay, so you want to grab some flour?
Yep, sure. I can do that. Full cup.
What we'll do, now, to be honest, we eat this ricotta quite often in our house, and I don't normally make it. Normally the lady of the house makes it. So I'm not 100% sure exactly how much flour we're going to use, so what we're going to do is we're just going to start, there's about 3/4 of a cup here, we're going to start with about half of that, okay? And then we're going to stir this up. You can leave what's in there.
Yeah.
And then just go ahead and dump that in, about 3/4 or about half of it. Okay, so that's good there. We'll stir this up, and we're just going to kind of get a feel for it. Okay, so we're going to need probably most of that. So go ahead, let's just dump all of that in. So we'll start with about 3/4 of a cup. Looks like we need some more in there, Kai. Do you want to do maybe another full scoop?
That's good.
Yeah, so that's about 1 3/4 cups so far. And we just want to make sure that when we roll this out, it's not going to stick too much to the cutting board. So the idea is to use as little flour as possible. And that's still a little bit sticky, so let's do maybe another half scoop, okay?
Yep.
So you can dump almost all of that, not quite though. A little bit more, that's probably, we'll start there. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good here. Okay, so let's try rolling this out, shall we? I think I might have said cutting board, but I meant counter. So we normally do it on the counter, right? You want to do a little bit of dusting of flour like that? All right, so let's see how this comes together. It's a little bit wet, but I like to do it as wet as possible because that means that less flour ends up in our gnocchi. And that means more ricotta, more eggs. So,
Which makes it taste good.
yep. Okay, I think this is actually great. Kai, do you want to just get that spot there a little bit even? Yeah?
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're just going to cut like that. Okay, and these guys are ready to be cooked or stored. So Kai, do you want to give us a nice dusting of flour on the tray here so that we can store these in gnocchi?
Hey, but I thought you said that we are going to cook some right now so we could have some.
Don't worry. We can cook some too.
Okay, good.
But we want to get some. We're not gonna eat all of it because then we'd be a little bit too much of an gnocchi tummy, right?
Okay.
Now, a little bit more. Don't be shy. Just dump it on there. Dump all that on there. Yeah. And then we'll kind of flatten it out like that. And then you just want to make sure that they're all kind of in the flour. You want to separate them a little bit so that they don't stick together when they freeze. Okay? And we'll carry on.
Okay.
All right, so let's get the rest of this rolled up. So, you're feeling a little bit peckish, right? You're a little bit hungry?
Yeah.
You want to eat some gnocchi?
Yeah.
So why don't we finish this off turbo speed?
Sure.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, so now get our excess flour here, and we want to make sure that they're nicely separated on our tray. And they'll be ready to toss in the freezer. So that's where we're going to store them. You want to make sure they're nicely coated in flour so that you can freeze them. And then the next time you want some gnocchi, all you got to do, pull them out of the freezer and drop them right into some boiling water from frozen. We're going to cook some up right now, though, for Kai. I might want a couple, too. All right, so we got some boiling water here, dude. Let's get some gnocchis in here. Cook them up. Now, it's really quick. About 3 or 4 minutes is all it really takes in the boiling water. And then once they start floating is when they're done. And what we'll do is we'll just toss this into the freezer. And then once these guys are frozen, we can transfer them into a storage container.
Dad, I think these are ready now.
Already? Has
Yep.
that been 3 minutes?
Yep.
All right, let's grab a bowl. We'll get these out of the water and right into our tomato sauce. And it'll be time to taste. So as soon as they're floating, give them about another minute or so. It takes about 3 minutes total. And then we've got a nice plate of gnocchi to share, right, Kai? You're not going to eat all that, are you?
Yeah, I guess.
No way, no way. I want some too. Give it a try. How is it?
They are so good.
All right, so there you have it. Ricotta and gnocchi. Next up, we're going to be working on some delicious bacon cheddar quiches. Eat them warm, eat them cold. That's up. Next. All right, so let's dive in to our next recipe. We're gonna make some handy little cupcake-filled quiches, okay? So we're gonna use our muffin pan. I'm saying cupcake, but I meant muffin. Muffin pan with our muffin pan liners here. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make up a really simple mix with some eggs, a touch of coconut milk, and then we're gonna add some ingredients to it. Season it up, bake it off in the oven. Simple. So let's start off by cutting up some bacon. Got some Beauty Tannadice Farms bacon here. So let's line these up, and then what we're gonna do is slice them really thin. We're gonna make some nice little bacon bits, which are going to incorporate beautifully into our little quiches here. I'm going to get those spread out nice and evenly once they're in the pan. And we're going to fry those up until they're nice and crispy. So, next step, chop some garlic. Get our bacon back in the fridge. I've got some nice red Russian garlic here that I found at the store, which is a very dense garlic. Needs a little bit of a muscle to do my usual trick, but guess what? It still works. So we're just going to chop this up and then add that to the pan as well. I've noticed that, one, if you chop the garlic really small, and two, make sure that you let it have some time in the pan to roast and mellow out. You can fit it into almost anyone's palate, even little guys and girls. Got our eggs here. We're trying to make about 9, so 5 or 6 eggs will do the trick. Ended up with a little shell in there. We'll get that out of the way. Now, coconut milk, about 1/4 cup. So I've already stirred this up. You want to make sure it's stirred to incorporate that fatty layer and the watery layer. Make sure it's nice and evenly incorporated, and we'll get about 1/4 cup in there. Okay, just leave that like that for now. I've got some bacon cooking. We've got some broccoli, the other B, right here. First though, we're just gonna whisk this up. So I just like to pop those yolks first and then whisk away. Once you get that coconut milk totally incorporated into the egg, then we'll be ready to add the rest of our ingredients and season this up. But I can smell that bacon right now, and I think it needs a stir. So at this stage, give it a stir. We can see our bacon starting to brown. We want it quite a bit crispier than that. For me anyways, I like to have the little crunchy bacon bits. In order to help that, we're gonna drain off some of our bacon fat. Makes it a lot easier to get it crispy. And besides, we don't want all that fat anyways. Use that for another day in place of butter. Great. All right, so let's season. 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon, depending on your taste buds, of salt, pepper, and probably not all that broccoli, but 1/2 cup or so works well. Okay, and then all we need to add to that now is our bacon and garlic once it's crispy. In the meantime, we'll shred some cheddar. Got some Balderson smoked cheddar here, which we're going to use just to sprinkle on top once these are all ready to go. All right, it doesn't take much. A few passes. Our cheese is ready to go. I can smell that garlic and bacon. It's roasted, crispy, ready to go. So let's get that into our quiche mixture. Don't want to miss any of those guys. Okay, now, one final stir, and we're ready to ladle these into our muffin tins. Now, if you wanted to, you can use some spray. I got one of these handy little avocado oils, and it's nice because it's not an aerosol, but I've made it without, and it works just fine, so it kind of all depends on your muffin liners, I think. I think that makes a bit of a difference. So, scoop into each one. And then we'll top them off with some cheddar. Got a little bit left for each one. Fill them up about 3/4 because they are going to rise while they bake. They kind of rise and sink. Give them a top of cheese. And you don't have to use the double smoked cheddar, but if you're in the know, then you will. A little bit on each of them. I'm going to keep it off the edges there because that'll just make a baked on mess to clean up afterwards. And this now is ready to go 350 in the oven for about 20 minutes. So, as I said, about 20 minutes or so, those will come out just right now. You're not limited to just bacon, cheddar, and broccoli. You can do whatever you want in your quiches. Change up the meat, no meat at all. Sauteed onions, sauteed peppers, just mix it up. Mushrooms are fantastic. A little wilted spinach. It's up to you. You can make them your own. Now, I've got some that I've done already. They're right here. Our little bacon cheddar quiches. I just happen to have a little bit of salsa left from last year's harvest from our garden. I like to finish them off with a little bit of salsa. That looks fantastic, doesn't it? Now, if it's for you or the kids, you know, you can make these up and keep them in the fridge. They go for, you know, 3-4 days, no problem. And you can eat them cold, you can warm them up, eat them warm, whatever you like. I'm just gonna grab this right now and give it a try. Alrighty, here we go. It's been a while. It's been a while since I made these guys. Liking it a lot. There you have it. Bacon cheddar quiches. Next up, we're gonna work on some mason jar salads. All right, so it's time for number 3, the third installment of our delicious lunches. Lunches for the office, lunches for the kids to take to school. This one's a little bit more adult inspired. Mason jar salad. We're gonna stuff this full of goodness and make it delicious. Lemon chia dressing to go with it. Sound good? Okay, so we're gonna start with our spinach. Now, spinach comes to us in a very handy format because, you know, in terms of salad especially, you want to get rid of the stem portion, and look at that. All the stems are lined up for us. So we're just gonna trim it right there. Okay, make sure we didn't lose any leaves, and then in there we've got very, very little waste. This is all stem. You can hold on to that and use it for something if you want, or compost it, whatever you prefer. Now, this is ready to be washed. Those guys are a little bit wilted. So let's get this washed up. All right, so bunch spinach tends to be pretty dirty sometimes, so make sure you give it a really good wash. Using the spray application really helps. Move it around lots. Make sure there's no dirt left. So now, once you've washed your spinach, depending on what you were using it for, let's say we were just doing some sauteed spinach on the stove, we wouldn't need to dry it, but we're doing this for salad, and we don't want to water down our salad dressing. We don't want a watery salad, so we got to spin it. Make sure it's nice and dry. That should do the trick. Now, what I want to do here is slice this up. A couple of extra stems to peel off there, and otherwise we're just going to go ahead and kind of gather this up and slice away. Now I want to slice it thin like this so we can pack a good serving into our mason jar without having a lot of air in between the leaves. Make sense? Good. Okay, that's looking good like that. Let's get our first layer in our mason jar right now. There we go. Let's chop up a tomato now, shall we? Got a nice ripe, vine-ripened tomato here. Get rid of that core, and then just dice this up. Nice sharp knife is key to slicing tomatoes, slicing and dicing tomatoes. Like so and so. So, what I'm also trying to do here while I'm building this little mason jar salad is kind of varying up the colors just to make it look pretty. That's part of it too, right? All right, let's get our next color in there. See if I can not miss any more. Oh, lost a couple more there. There we go. So, next layer is done. All right, so let's chop up some orange pepper now. Now, cut the top and the bottom off your peppers, and then go like so and so. And it's a little bit easier to get nice, consistent slices and then dices. Just that extra little step of cutting the top and the bottom flattens this out. It gives you something that's straight and easy to work with. Okay, and then you just treat your tops and bottoms independently. Right, go like this. There we go. So our peppers are ready to go, but just before we put our peppers in, let's grab some quinoa that I've cooked and cooled. All right, so we got some quinoa here. Now, we're talking about the colors and keeping everything separated, right? Like we had our tomato first, and then if we put our pepper there, the orange and the red are very close in the spectrum. So I wanted to divide it up. So I thought it would be nicer to do the quinoa next, and then do the orange pepper on top. All right? See where I'm going with this? Feeling it? All right, so let's get our orange peppers in there now. Oh yeah, baby. This is looking so cool. Now, last ingredient for the salad, the components of the salad, I've got some galloping goose sausage here. All right, so let's just give these guys a slice. And then we'll put them on top. And all we'll have left is to make our dressing. So, say you're preparing your lunch for work, you know, that's it. Do that up the night before. Beautiful salad, ready to go. Let's carry on and just whip up our dressing now. Save these guys for later. Clear off some room here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna blend our dressing. Now, of course, you know, when you're making your salad for lunch, you can have a big batch of dressing all ready to go. So this would be done already, right? First thing we want to do is zest our lemon. Okay, so let's zest our lemon. As I always let you know, you got to make sure you only get the outside layer of that lemon, lime or orange, whatever citrus you're zesting. Because if you go too far, you get into the white pith, which is bitter. I don't want a bitter salad dressing. I just want the sweet, lovely, aromatic essence of the lemon. Okay, that should do it. So we can get our zest in there. Get our juice in there. Okay, so now we've got our garlic here. That same bulb of garlic that I crushed earlier. That's about the size of 2 cloves there, which is just great. Let's chuck a couple walnuts and a little bit of chia seed. So we're really adding in a great fat profile here by using 2 different kinds of fat sources with the chia seeds and the walnuts. All right, let's get some nice basil leaves going on in here. I'm gonna be fairly generous with the basil leaves. Like that should be good. A little bit of salt, and we're ready to hit the blender. So we're just gonna fire this up and start adding oil until we get a nice consistency. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good there now. I can see it's nice and smooth. And everything's come together beautifully. This is looking great. Just give it a little taste. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a touch more lemon. Not much, just a touch. And we're ready to go. All right, lunchtime. Crack your lid. You got your dressing. Now, this is an olive oil based dressing, so when it comes out of the fridge, it might be a little bit solidified. So you just need to maybe soften it up for 5 seconds in the microwave, for example. And then once you've got it nice and runny, you drizzle your dressing on. Okay, and you know, you might need to add your dressing in stages. give it a bit of a stir, and then just start having at it. There you have it. Mason jar. Salads. Oh, we're into the quinoa now. This is fantastic. I'm loving this. All right, so we just worked on 3 delicious recipes. Back to school, back to work, whatever it may be. Hope we did something a little bit different for you, something fun, something creative. Now, we started off with that delicious ricotta and gnocchi. Lots of ways to work with that, customize it, make it into an entree, just a simple tomato sauce. From there, we went on to those bacon cheddar quiches. Many ways for you to customize that. And then we finished it off with that mason jar salad, and of course, cornucopia of options with that. So all 3 of those recipes you'll find at countrygrocer.com. They're all there along with hundreds of others. Thanks for being with us. See you next time.
Country Grocer.